Good morning, my name is Tom. Today's video I'm going to go over my everyday carry that I carry on my person, but I also done a video last week that I'm following up on. This will kind of be part 2 of that. I was going over, I couldn't do it out on the lake because it was too windy, just had crappy weather out there. But I went over the survival gear that I keep on my snowmobile or on my four-wheeler. And so today I'm at home base. I'm down by the fire pit. If you've followed any of my videos, I'm down by the swamp. And it's just a great place to kind of lay this stuff out so that I could go over some of the stuff that I consider survival gear for my snowmobile. And I don't believe in just surviving the night. I can survive the night in a snowbank, or I can survive the night in just about anything. But my point is my gear helps me to thrive for the night. So I will get a good night's sleep. I will have a full belly for supper and all of that. So today's video is kind of going to be a little long, and I apologize for that. But there's a lot of equipment here that rides on my snowmobile every time that it leaves the cabin driveway. So I'm going to start out with what's laying in this little pile here. This is what I keep on my belt and in my pocket. This is a Leatherman that's always with me, small Leatherman. I also have a larger Leatherman that rides on the pocket. So everybody knows what these are. But these are tools that I can't reproduce out in the wild. So that's why they're always on my belt. The other thing I carry out there is I carry a 3-bladed knife. This knife has a stiff blade. It has a skinning blade for skinning porcupines, deer, moose, bear, whatever. But then the other thing it has is it has a saw blade on it. And these two right here, the skinning part of it as well as the saw blade, are what makes it a knife that is always on my pocket, always on my belt. With the saw blade, I will do a video on how you can make shavings with that from just about anything for a tinder source. And the skinning knife is kind of self-explanatory. But as a hunter-gatherer and hunter and fisherman, to me this is a knife that is an absolute must on my belt. The other thing I carry on my belt is this is a mag light case. And then it has a belt loop to put on your belt. But in there I keep 1 stick of fat wood. So I've always got on my belt a nice dry piece of good fat wood for a tinder source that with my knife and all of that I will definitely have a fire with just what's on my belt. And the other thing that's on my belt, this is another knife sheath, but in here is a ferro rod. It's one of the bigger ones, a 1/2 inch. It's just always there. I don't carry matches or stuff like that. It's just always in my pocket. And attached to this is just a little tiny knife, not just really sharp knife, but it's a real small knife. So it kind of fits in there, and I got it tied to the ferro rod just so I don't lose the knife. And also in here is a small piece of hacksaw blade. It's all it is, broke off hacksaw blade with a little bit of tape wrapped around the ends of it. And the reason I've got that is you want to make some sparks in a hurry. These two right here it'll wear this out faster, but if you want something that'll really tear some sparks off, a little small hacksaw blade really does the job. So that right there. And I also have I don't know if I went over this, but I also have a flint and steel lighter that is always in my pocket, as well as around my neck. This is another saw that's always there, same deal. It has a 90-degree spine for making sparks off the ferro rod, and it's also just a great saw for small work. I don't use it for big work, but this is more for gathering tinder, small limbs, stuff like that. It's just a perfect size saw that I keep around my neck at all times. That way, if I become unattached from my gear, which is this bag here, my survival bag, or my saddle bags that are on the front of the snowmobile, I've got the stuff I need for a good, comfortable night. I also have another knife, and I have a compass. These three things are always around my neck. Always. You will see them in videos. They just ride there. You get used to them. It's always with you. If I was to fall in a river or I was to fall through the ice and lose my gear, I've got gear on me that will carry me. So this wraps up the gear that I keep on my person. And now I'm going to move on to the other bag, which is the this is a survival bag. Now I know this video is probably going to be a little bit long, but I urge you to hang on and to the end of this thing. There is survival gear in here that I don't see in other people's bug out bags and stuff like that, that you might be interested in, and maybe you'll be interested in keeping it in your own pack. This is my survival bag that stays on the back of my snowmobile, and I have it for the four-wheeler, six-wheeler. There's nothing special about this bag. Same thing, a lot of my gear. Nothing special about it. You can buy it at just about any sporting goods store. But this particular bag, and the reason I go with a bag for the snowmobile is it's a knapsack. If the snowmobile was to become broke down, I could put this on my back and carry it very easily. I've got everything I need to spend the night. I could spend several nights. But that's why this is about a $30 bag from Walmart that I bought probably 10 years ago. I strap it on the back of the snowmobile. It's always packed. It's always ready to go. So it's not a $400 bag. It's not a $100 bag. It's a $29 bag from Walmart. You will find that, and the reason I go that route is because if I've got to leave this somewhere behind, it's a $30 bag. It's not a $400 bag that absolutely has got to make it back today to my cabin or to my four-wheeler. So anytime I need to leave stuff behind, whether it's a canoe trip or whatever, it's generally stuff you could live without. I'm going to go through this top pocket first. What's in here? This thing is filled with pockets. There's a top in here. There's cooking supply. This whole bottom section is cooking supplies. This bottom section is zipped on with a zipper. You can unzip that and it becomes a fanny pack. There's a full kitchen in that fanny pack that you can put on. But in this top pocket, I have gloves. This is just the way it has been packed for years. I have a spare hat. I have more gloves. I have 2 pair of wool socks. I have more gloves. This is a neck wrap. All it is a neck hole. Goes around your neck. Helps keep that area warm. That's what's in that pocket. Set this stuff aside. You get down below. And here's the main pocket of the bag. And in here, I have a folding shovel. I have a folding silky saw. I have a hunting knife with a stone for sharpening. Nothing special about this knife. I've had it for 25 years plus. It's just a knife that I keep in there, basically because the strap broke on the leather. So I don't want to lose the knife, and it makes a great survival knife inside of my survival bag. I have a headlamp. I have the most important part, probably, a roll of toilet paper. Remember, I said I'm going to spend the night, and I'm going to thrive in there. I have a bungee cord. Why the bungee cord? Probably the quickest setup you can do for a top to give it a little bit of spring. If it's windy, your top needs a little bit of give to it so that the top doesn't get destroyed in the wind. And a bungee cord seems to really do that thing quite well. I have several packs of hand warmers that you can put inside of your mittens and stuff. Remember, we're spending the night. Who knows where we're going to end up spending the night? These things are cheap to buy. They're easy to pack. They don't go bad. So those are in there. This is a vest. I'm not big on goose down and all that stuff. But the reason this vest is in there is it's fluorescent orange. Now, if you want to be seen out on the backside of a lake, fluorescent orange will do it. Camouflage if you want to go hunting, but you could also sleep in this. It's an extra layer just to keep you warm. But during the daylight, if you are injured and you want to draw attention to yourself, you could stretch this across the tree out by the lake you're on or whatever, out in a clearing, and you've got some fluorescent orange so you can be seen. I've got 100 feet of cord. Don't normally carry, on my person I don't usually carry a lot of ropes and stuff like that, but this here is 100 feet of some pretty good rope for putting up your shelter, for a quick shelter. I got some candy bar snacks down in there. Here's my rope, and I always carry a brand new top. The reason it's brand new, this is a 12 by 10, a 10 by 12 top. The reason I say brand new is you're not going to get it folded up that tight. So if it's in a package like that, it rides down in the bottom of that knapsack really well, and it's always there. You have an instant roof with this top, this rope, that bungee cord. You can have a very, very good shelter in a very short amount of time. So that will take care of that pocket. Now I'm going to come over to this pocket. Remember, I said this thing is full of pockets. In this pocket, I'll get this vest out of here. In this pocket, I keep a coffee can. The reason for the coffee can, I can gather water with it, I can boil water with it, I can do almost anything with it. But a new add-on to this pack this year was this light. Now, I got this light packed into white birch bark just to keep it from rattling around. But I picked up this light. It's a flashlight. I just picked it up this year because it only cost $9. It's an Ozark Trail from Walmart. It runs on 4 AA batteries. It'll get 72 hours. 72 hours of flashlight for your camp if you are spending the night. Remember, this is a go bag. I don't lug this around. It's tied to my snowmobile. So I can afford the luxury of having one of these. Getting a little scratch in my voice, I guess. So this is a new add-on to the bag. Like I said, I got some birch bark in here for fire starting, but I also got a nice tin can for having around the fire. That's not my cooking pot, but it rides in that pocket perfectly. So it makes a good place to store white birch bark. And like this year, I started carrying this light in there. Over on the other side of the pack is another pocket, same size. Now in this pack, I have a fire kit. I have tea, sugar, I have some hot chocolate, all of that. So when I get ready to go to bed, I'm going to have a tea or I'm going to have a hot chocolate. And same thing when I get up in the morning. It's all in the pack. It's all on the snowmobile all the time. On this lid is another pocket. And in here, all I keep in here is freezer bags. That's it. Quart-size freezer bags, might be some gallon, because storing your equipment in a freezer bag or whatever, if you might find some food, you might get a squirrel, you might get almost anything. And it doesn't take up any room. It's just in that pocket. It gives me another container for storing food or whatever I might need to use it for while I'm out there. So that takes care of the top sack on here. Now if you unzip this thing, yeah, we'll hit this pocket while we're in here. Another pocket. In here, there's a mag flashlight. There's another small set of Leathermans, and there's also a whetstone for sharpening knives and axes. Also in here is a leaf bag. This is a green leaf bag, heavy duty. I could use that for almost anything. A lot of stuff in here, like I was telling you. In that same pocket is a package of macaroni and cheese out of the box. Just stuffed into them freezer bags like I was telling you. You don't need the milk, you don't need the butter to make this into a pretty good meal out in the woods. If you're starving and hungry, it's going to be the best meal you've eaten all week. What you do with it is you boil it down, and you either leave a little bit of water in it so that it gets a real wet feeling, or you can do it a little bit, make sure all of it is drained out, and then just put in the cheese mix, and it's kind of a dry mix. But out on the ice or out in the woods, when you're spending the night, this is a full meal that will carry you the night. So that takes care of that pocket. I might as well go over this. This is my fire kit that's always in the bag. I don't use it for anything else. In here is a Bic lighter. I also have some jute twine that has been braided together and then dipped. I take jute twine, braid it together, and then dip this whole thing in paraffin wax. And then this is an awesome fire starter. It's just in there. You can cut off an inch, light it with your lighter, or however you're going to use to get it lit. And also down in there is just a little bit of fat wood. I also have some stainless steel wool down in there. That way you can build a fire off a battery if you had to. But this right here is for rainy days or emergency fires. All it takes is take your hunting knife, cut 1 inch off that thing, and you've got yourself a nice fire starter. So that takes care of what's in the fire kit. Making a heck of a mess here. So I will now, and also on the side of this bag is just some cheap water bottles that came with it. There's 2 of them. But this bag on the bottom, it unzips. But better than that is it comes right off the knapsack. There, it comes right off the knapsack. Now it's a fanny pack. You can leave this back at the cabin. Now you got yourself a pack. And in here, this is a full kitchen. I'm gonna move this stuff out of the way so you can see. But as you can see, for a bag that's on the back of a snowmobile, and the whole thing doesn't weigh 30 pounds. So even if you had to lug this bag, it's not tremendously big. In here is my full kitchen. I have cotton swabs for building fires. I have another big hunting knife. Nothing special about this thing. It's an old nasty knife that just rides down in there. You can beat the heck out of this knife and you will not hurt it. You can use it for cutting firewood. You can do anything you want with it. That's why it's in there. I've had it for 1 billion years. It's just a lot better knife to have down in my kitchen. Also in the kitchen, I have a pot. I have 1 little small pot. Nothing major, nothing pretty. In there, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 packages of oodles and noodles. The reason it's oodles and noodles is this bag is packed all winter. All I do is grab it off the shelf, I tie it onto the back of the snowmobile, and now I know in this bag I've got supper and I've got a pot for cooking the oodles and noodles. And I guess I do have a box of matches. Down in this kitchen area is a box of matches. Obviously, if I'm using this bag, I'm in trouble. This is not my regular camping bag. This is just my bag for, I call it my survival bag. This looks like brown sugar. It is brown sugar. This isn't always in there, but it obviously got put in there. Anyways, there's nothing wrong with carrying some brown sugar around. That's a nice treat, nice little pick-me-up. Another thing of oodles and noodles. Another package of noodles. All this stuff is great for a night in the woods. As you can see, I could spend several nights. I have a spoon. And this right here is a roll of wire. It's very cheap, probably only cost about, I don't know, $2. What it is, it's you know what Christmas wreaths are? This is the wire for Christmas wreaths. Doesn't take up any room, but for shelter building, it's probably one of the fastest things you can use to tie stuff together with. You can use it for the stanchion around your fire pit. You can use it for helping you to tie your shelter pieces together. Or tie some limbs together. Hold your fir boughs into place. Whatever you're putting together in a hurry for a survival night, that's why this is in there. Takes up no space, and that's why that is in there. So I'm going to put all this stuff away now, and then I'm going to open up the saddlebags. And I appreciate you sticking around for all this. I realize it now looks like a big mess. But as you can see in one little small bag, that's tied onto my snowmobile at all times, I've got more than enough stuff here for a comfortable night in the woods, or more than a comfortable night. I'm going to strive. And who knows, I could have a rabbit, I could have a lake trout with me, who knows what else I could have with me for food. And if you can't survive on this for 2 or 3 days, you're probably in real big trouble. So that's going to tie this one up, and then I'm going to move on to the saddlebags.